Dear gentle viewers, it has come to this author's attention that a most perplexing phenomenon has taken hold of our creative circles. It appears that many an artist, once brimming with enthusiasm, now find themselves entangled in the thorny thicket of unfinished works. Their grand visions, once shimmering with promise, now lay dormant, held captive by the tedious tasks that stand between conception and completion. Like a determined debutante faced with an insurmountable dance card, these poor souls must persevere through the less glamorous aspects of their creations. Oh, how they yearn to abandon their projects at the first sign of difficulty. Yet the expectations of society and their own ambitions demand they soldier on. One might wonder if there exists a talisman against such creative malaise, perhaps a secret elixir to transform the mundane into the extraordinary. This author has observed many an artist attempt to conquer their reluctance through various means, some unorthodox, others quite ingenious. As the season progresses, we shall watch with bated breath as these creative souls navigate their trials. Will they emerge victorious, their works complete and ready for society's scrutiny? Or will they join the ranks of those whose brilliant ideas remain forever unfinished? Only time will tell, dear viewers. Only time will tell. Yours truly, Lady Lexi. Hey, it's me, Lexi. Da, 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 da. This is the project from a kit I got online shown in my last video. I couldn't pick the fabrics and never liked the color combo. And I actually started on this months ago, but kept running into issues as it was poorly cut and the fabric was constantly fraying. I was determined to get her done. I pushed through. Even though as hard as I tried to keep the seam allowances perfect, the imperfect cutting just kept causing ongoing issues. At least this project will be out of my hair. I decided, as it was an oddly finished size quilt when it was done, and it was not up to my regular standards, that I was going to use it for the backing for a child's play quilt that I'm planning for my neighbor's little girl. Then I had a glitch in the matrix. I went to sew my next row and the piece wasn't long enough. I pulled them all out and they were all the wrong size. I then went to the next size and pulled all of those out of their little baggies and they were also too short. I jumped to the last piece as it's going to be the largest one, the way this block sews up, and even that wasn't fitting. And I was like, what the absolute hell? Like, how could they screw this up so bad? I was so over this project, and I decided, you know what? I'm going to go and start getting those kaleidoscope blocks cut out. As I was a tad overly ambitious when I decided to make those, I decided to not do them all at the same time, as I only have so many pins. So I selected 2 of them, and I ironed, pinned, cut the strips, pinned again, subcut, pinned again, and also spent way too much time playing with the various options for each block, as you can see. Thankfully, the birds themed fabric, as I was cutting octagons versus hexagons, once those were cut, they only had one option. You couldn't twirl them around. They could only go in one direction. And of course, that didn't stop me from still getting a preview of how they would finish up. It's just too much fun with the kaleidoscopes. So once that was done, I decided, let me take some video of this craziness with the abandoned blocks and show you guys how off the strips were. And this is when the remainder of that matrix glitch reared its ugly head. Every single piece was now the correct size. I was like, what? What the absolute fuck? I know I'd pulled them all out and made sure they didn't fit. I spent like 20 minutes on that, and now magically they were longer. It does make life more interesting, but honestly, I don't need these kinds of surprises. So, back to this headache project I went. I was making progress and had finally gotten to the final stages. However, I kept running into issues still because some of these pieces still were like not the right size or cut badly, and I was having to take out stitches, restitch it because I wanted to make it as accurate as possible, even though it was, at this point, it was terrible. Matching up was a nightmare, and if you don't sew quilts, you won't get this, but if you know, you know. So I didn't mind, as it wasn't every single block and it was almost done, But then this happened. I don't know how this happened. About 25% of the block sewed up fine, but the rest made it look like I was watching TV while I was sewing and not paying any attention at all, and that was not the case. I was there holding top and bottom as some didn't match, and well, you get the picture. I was doing my best to keep them perfectly aligned. So this was the last straw. I've now abandoned this project. It was making me miserable, and as you can see the amount of time from the last video to this video, it's ridiculous. I just had to say this is not making me happy and stop. Normally I push through, but not on this one. Will I eventually push through? Yes. Yes, I will. But for now, I need to put it aside and do something else before what creative mojo I have left I scare off into the wilderness. I am currently editing, and so this is future me, and I actually took tons of footage of cutting up kaleidoscope blocks, and I had no footage to go with the rest of what I was talking about, so I thought you wouldn't mind watching some of that. So just so you know, it has nothing to do with what I'm talking about. I just wanted to update you as to what you were looking at and why. So yes, creatives, I don't have something finished to show you. I know I specifically stated don't expect to see finished projects each video. However, I didn't expect this project to become the nightmare that it did become. I hope to revisit it after completing a few successful projects. As a typical neurodivergent, I am abandoning the sewing ship altogether for my next project. Yes, even though those kaleidoscope quilts are all cut out and ready to go. And it's one I feel a lot more confident it will not be as frustrating as this one became. So stay tuned. I should have something done from start to finish in my next video. So look at it as a special treat because I don't normally work that way. It is also a reminder to those of you who are also struggling. We should not give up on the first signs of a challenge. Every creative pursuit has its challenges, and those challenges are your learning moments. Many things made by hand have an ugly stage, and you must trust the process and push through. However, this was not that. This was just utter futility. And I think because I kept running into issues, I possibly was putting bad juju into the project and thus making it even more challenging. So, for now, I walk away in the hopes of returning rejuvenated and positive to the outcome of the finish. The lesson today, kids, is to not give up, but also you must maintain your sanity and happiness, and only you know when you have reached the end of that rope. Until we meet again, I hope that all of your creative pursuits are happy and successful. I love you now. Bye-bye.